Backprop Finance is basically the DeFi app for Bittensor that is also community owned because it will be its own subnet. So the idea is that with Bittensor EVM, we think finally we can grow liquidity native to Bittensor. It's a lot better for an ecosystem when its ecosystem token has thick liquidity that people can use in the trade or decentralized way in its own ecosystem. And this is one of the things that Backprop Finance can help with. Basically, Backprop Finance will be the one DeFi app for Bittensor. If you want to trade dTAO, you can use Backprop. If you want to trade whatever EVM token, including TAO, you can use Backprop. And if you want to earn using by providing liquidity, then you can be earning our subnet token on Backprop. Right now, right, it's post-fact. It's like after the model, which is the employee, right, delivers the work, then we do performance review. But later on, we can totally see a world where when agents need perform certain tasks, or when agents is about to deliver the output to its customer, you can get our human contributors to do some kind of performance review for them. Or when an AI agent is doing some planning on how to do certain tasks in the real world, which may involve interacting with government organizations or different online services, they can have their plan or the detailed actions they're planning to do to be reviewed by the human contributors on the subnet. There could be a huge risk in the future when we give AI agents certain tasks, and without human oversight they just try to achieve the task without thinking about what are the potential secondary outcomes, or whether this is what is generally acceptable for humans, etc.
Welcome to the Ventura Labs podcast. Today we're joined by CK, founder of Tensorplex Labs, who shares his insights on the intersection of crypto and AI. We explore the evolution of Bittensor, the importance of human feedback in AI development, incentive design, and how community engagement is shaping the network's future. In addition to their upcoming subnet, Backprop Finance. Now, back to CK with the 27th Ventura Labs podcast.
Okay, CK, what do you
Hello.
do? And what is your role in Tensorplex?
So while on Twitter, I brand myself Tensorplex Intern. I am also the co-founder of Tensorplex Labs. So I manage the business, the operations side of the company. And my co-founder, Exponent Crisis, is the CTO of the company. So he does all the technical work while I handle the rest of the stuff so he can focus on building.
And then, what is Tensorplex? What do you guys do?
So, Tensorplex is, I would say, a company, I would say a team that is very hardworking at the intersection of, crypto and AI. The belief of the company is that, crypto is a highly empowering technology that has, I think, proven how it can, coordinate people to tackle big problems, or to bootstrap networks. And AI is this I would say the culmination of many decades of hard work, and now we're finally seeing the acceleration, the vertical phase of AI. And we're a team that is both crypto native and have very good understanding of AI, and we want to apply what we've learned about both the economic power of crypto and the mechanisms in play here to accelerate AI. So for example, our Dojo subnet, the thinking is that we want to decentralize the gathering of human feedback for AI using the incentive mechanism that Bittensor allows. So these are the unique things that I think crypto's economic mechanism and consensus could enable us to do. So we're trying to accelerate AI with what we know.
And that subnet you mentioned, Dojo, is on the Bittensor network. How did you guys first get involved with Bittensor?
So I first learned about Bittensor in, I think, mid 2023, when I was still on the investment side of crypto as investment analyst in a hedge fund. At that time, I think it's still very early. There's only the text prompting subnet. and you know, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty on how the network is going to evolve, but I'm already noticing it has a very strong, community, and the launch mechanism shows that it's not a ordinary quick pump and dump project at all. Like it reminds me of the very old days when crypto is really about this fair community ethos, and Bittensor has the Bitcoin tokenomics and no pre-mining, so it caught my attention. And then when I was chatting with my co-founder, who I really respect as someone that is very pragmatic, understands technology, and have proven himself over the course of last few years when he made some very good calls on other networks like Solana, and he was telling me how with the upcoming Bittensor updates, they are going to evolve into this very powerful network with how subnets will allow people to basically program the emissions of this network to tackle unique AI problems, and that caught my enthusiasm. And then we decided to start this company together. I think bring in some pretty special talents in mostly in Singapore, and to build this company Tensorplex Labs, so that leverages I would say a lot of the power of the Tensor network to accelerate AI, and that's what we've been doing.
And then you mentioned you guys are crypto native. When did you guys get
Yep.
involved with crypto? What were you doing in crypto before BitTensor?
So I've been investing in crypto. I think first in 2017. In basically two bull markets ago. But at that time, I was just a university student. Trying to learn more, and then I, you know, in 2021, after still surviving the bear market, I think I've learned enough, about crypto that I think I can take this full time as a career, and that's when I joined Defiance Capital in Singapore, and then later on I joined Brevan Howard Digital, which is the digital arm of a global macro hedge fund, and I was also an investment analyst there. And then I started Tensorplex Labs because it's I think it's a very different challenge, and it's very satisfying to start my own thing, and and this has been the story. And for my co-founder, I guess I'll let him share one day when he's on the podcast.
Yeah, one day we'll get the co-founder.
Yep.
Um, how has your experience and history with these traditional type of hedge funds influenced the approach you're taking with Tensora or Tensorplex, sorry.
Yeah. So I think honestly, the I would say my previous background, it's more like it taught me, um, it gave me the conviction to build like TensorPlex on BitTensor, because um, when I have the chance or the responsibility to review a lot of crypto projects, what I've learned is that how crypto has changed a lot over the years. In like in the past, like for example, 2017, I think people genuinely believe in the technology, and at that time people would still be criticizing Ethereum for being a pre-mined token, because people really believe this is a very enabling technology and communities all that matters. But in 2020 2021-ish, we started seeing crypto being even more financialized, and with those low float, high FTV, VC only projects, and so after seeing so much of these, I think I started getting bored of crypto, especially after AI, the ChatGPT moment emerged, and crypto just seems like a financial game. And I think Bitensa gave me a lot of hope when I learned more about it, and I see the vision, and um, all the hard work to make it a fairly launched network for Bittensor. And I think that gave me the conviction to start the company. But when it comes to what we actually do in the company, I would say investment experience doesn't really teach me that much when it comes to operations, and that's something I learned, as I become the co-founder of the company. Like a lot of times, it's not about perfection, which is what investors always look for. It's the grit, the persistence to just keep going, just keep trying that matters. So yeah, I think quite a different career path.
And in this pursuit of trying different things, you guys have a validator on Bittensor, and that came before the Dojo subnet. So, what was the rationale behind starting that validator?
So we started the validator actually after we started our LST, because initially the first product is for the ST-TAO, which is for people to stake TAO and earn yield directly on Ethereum mainnet. And then as we evaluate the different type of validators available in Bittensor, we realized we think Bittensor will benefit from having research driven validator that has I would say some investment experience as well, so we understand how to analyze the different subnets and assign weights, because we think validators, they play quite a different role in Bittensor versus in other networks when they're just infrastructure providers. A Bittensor validator is almost like an investor in charge of how allocating funds for the network. And we think we can do something here, especially with the revenue that we can make from validator. We can support some more serious, I would say, institutional grade subnet research, which I think is for the better good of the network as well, because you don't want to see missions going to subnets that are not really contributing at all, or not pushing the boundaries of the technology. So that's why we decided to start this validator, and yeah, I think we've been a very honest validator with no weight copying. We actually spend money following what is needed to safeguard the consensus of subnets. And yeah, I'm very glad that we got the support of some big TAO believers and also some funds, because they see what we're doing and they want to support us.
What is the thought process behind the setting weights and evaluating these subnets? Because we are switching to a detail environment where the
Yep.
validators don't necessarily have to play that role anymore. So in
Yep.
the past, what was, or I guess technically still currently,
Yeah. So, well, with dTAO coming, it will be a gradual shift. But yes, eventually, validators won't need to take this role anymore, which I think is clearly the right direction to go. But so right now we evaluate subnets based on quite a few criteria, including first whether it's targeting I think a big serious problem that that deserves the TAO emissions to support it, right? And then it's about the caliber of the team, whether we think they have the experience, they have the understanding of both AI and Bittensor to solve, to tackle, to deliver the goods that they are trying to deliver. And then it's about whether the subnet is mature enough, or whether the mechanism is designed in a quite non-gameable way. Because I think what's challenging about building a Bittensor subnet is that you also need to understand incentives very well. Like if you don't design it, like the miners are always trying to earn the most emissions while doing the least work possible. So if you don't design properly and try to think about all the most hostile things that can happen to your subnet, then your subnet simply cannot be sustainable. So these are some of the criteria I can recall from the back of my mind, but we have some dedicated subnet researchers helping us, and we publish the criteria on Twitter. So yeah, that anyone interested, feel free to check it out.
and then what inspired the creation of Dojo? You had this validator. Why'd you guys
Yeah.
decide to start a subnet?
So we have been like there are actually quite a few subnet ideas we have in mind, and we ultimately chose Dojo because I think it's a big a big challenge that excites our team when we think of the ways to tackle it. So I think everyone has heard of how the leading AI labs, they have basically exhausted the data available on the internet, and people are turning to using synthetic data, which I would say have achieved some pretty good results. But ultimately, we think having human intelligence to help AI, not just on the pre-training or fine-tuning phase, but also in the agentic phase is very important. But the question is, how do you gather human feedback in order to to help AI? So human feedback, we think, despite how synthetic data is becoming a genuinely useful way to improve the capabilities of AI, there's something unique about human intelligence because ultimately with the AI models currently as chatbots or going forward as agents that help us in the real world in solving tasks, to attain goals for the human users. There's a lot of like real world nuances, a lot of context that requires, I think, a lot of human understanding of the world. So I think there could be a huge risk in the future when we give AI agents certain tasks, and without human oversight, they just try to achieve the task without thinking about what are the potential secondary outcomes, or whether this is what is generally acceptable for humans, etc. So that's why we think human feedback is very important. But to gather human feedback, currently the best ways is, for example, to if you're trying to train a model, you use like Scale AI, which is quite centralized provider, which have a pretty high entry barrier for the human contributors they hire, and we don't know how they do quality control. While knowing how crypto is truly global, we think we can use Bittensor missions to mobilize a global team of human contributors to provide human feedback that can help again from model training to later with agent decision making, or just guiding or safeguarding the agents, with either their on-chain behavior or in the real-world behavior. So that's the technology that we're trying to build, where we can verify whether there are serious human contributors contributing their intelligence, whether they are doing their work seriously, and help this, I would say, a global crowd of contributors for us to reach consensus on what is the majority voted feedback, or the belief of what is the right thing that the agent should be doing. So this is what we're building with Dojo.
And on Dojo, how do you implement this human feedback? Is it just you give the miner a prompt and the response from an AI and it gives a rating?
So right now, what the miners are doing is that they're giving feedback to the to the code generated by models. So basically, our subnet will generate some prompts for the LLMs to to write code to, for example, to do the visualization of the solar system, and then what the human miners need to do is they need to to rank the different outputs by, for example, looking at the visuals and then also typing out what is the feedback that they will give to improve the visuals. So our plan is that in this initial phase, we are testing whether our technology work when it comes to anti-Sybil, and whether the collected data can be used to fine-tune models to to actually improve their capabilities. So I would say right now we're still in the bootstrapping phase of the subnet, but later on, after after we verify that the technology works, then what we can do include having kind of a loop, a recursive loop where, after there are human feedbacks to the model, and then the model can adopt the feedback and then give new outputs, and then, humans can give feedback again. So you can keep improving the capabilities of the LLM. And also, we can just accept more type of tasks that our human contributors can do for either the AI developers or again, later AI agents.
And extrapolating it to the future, like you're saying, with the AI agent environment, would you guys see yourself playing, or would you categorize the role you play as something like a performance review in a typical job? So it's like the boss
Yeah,
comes and says,
it's like a continuous performance review. So right now, right, it's post fact. It's like after the model, which is the employee, right, delivers the work, then we do performance review, which by the way can be used for other Bittensor subnets to improve the output as well. But later on, we can totally see a world where when agents need to perform certain tasks, or when agents is about to deliver the output to its customer, you can get our human contributors to do some kind of performance review for them. Or when an AI agent is doing some planning on how to do certain tasks in the real world, which may involve interacting with government organizations, or different online services. They can have their plan, or the detailed actions they're planning to do to be reviewed by the human contributors on the subnet. So this is the technology we're looking to build for Dojo.
and when you say human contributors,
Yep.
do you have a mechanism in place to verify that it's a human doing it, or you don't actually care if it's a human doing it, you just want them to mimic how a human would do it?
So yeah, that's a very good question, because we can see a world where it's increasingly hard to verify, if the contributors are humans. But when that happens, when the AGI moment, when there are no way to verify if someone is human because AI is so smart, already happened, then I guess we have bigger problems to solve, like everyone becoming jobless. But for now, the way we do it is basically by finding type of tasks or challenges where it's still way harder for AI to do than humans. For example, when we are generating, when it comes to generating an interactive mini game or an application as a task for LMs. For humans, it's very easy, like when you interact with a mini game, to know if the game is properly coded, right? Whether for example, the arrow keys on the keyboard is interacting properly with the game, or whether some visuals are off. These are still things that it's very easy for humans like us, but for LLMs, because the LLMs right now still can't just easily play games by taking control of our computer. So when we let humans perform tasks like these, then it's quite easy to tell. Basically, given we have the synthetic ground truth of these tasks, and these tasks are easier for humans than AI. Right now, our system is still holding up, and of course, we'll try to develop more ways to do verification. But I think in some sense, we're already seeing some miners trying to use AI to replace the human contributors to mine more efficiently on our subnet. I think we can actually open up our subnet in a way to also support tasks that don't necessarily need human to give feedback. It's just kind of like an arena for different LLMs to compete to be the most effective in providing feedback synthetically. We think this can also be a service that we provide. If there are cases when people just want to gather a lot of synthetic feedback data. So I would say we could expand that way, but we think right now there's something profound about collecting human feedback in a decentralized way by using the consensus mechanism that we're building. So we want to we want to try our best to explore this path first.
Yeah, the way you guys verify that you're saying is very interesting. You're saying LLM in a game where you use the keypad with the arrows to move around would
Yeah,
struggle.
like if you're playing the snake game, for example, if we are asking humans to rank four different LM generated snake games, like when you're playing with the arrows and whatnot, and when you see how the buttons are placed, etc., like you can as a human quite intuitively know if something is off with that game, because we probably have played enough functional games to be able to tell. But for LMs, this is something that they're still learning. So of course, maybe 6 months later, 3 months later, some agent service by OpenAI or Anthropic can do this. But at least so far, these tasks are still holding up.
Yeah, so currently that's the cutting edge. Currently
Yeah,
that works.
yeah,
You're saying eventually it probably won't
yeah.
work.
I think we hope that maybe later on, maybe 95% of these tasks will be like tackled. But I think so. I've heard some debates on how do we define when has AGI arrived. There's some people saying AGI has arrived when it has reached a certain score in some benchmarks, while there are some higher requirements saying that we need such that there are no tasks that AIs can't do better than humans. Then that's the AGI moment. But I think that's a bit far fetched. Basically, I think there will always be some tasks that it's still more intuitive for humans than AI.
So you think AGI by that definition is unattainable
Not well. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to say never, but I think
in our lifetime?
well, with the projected pace of how AI can revolutionize healthcare, I hope our lifetime is very so long that then we can't really properly say never. But yeah, I think honestly it's too hard to speculate, to be honest. But I just think overall my sentiment is that most people, even a lot of people, working on AI, we are underestimating how fast everything is going. I think 3 4 months ago, no one will, after OpenAI's O1 model is released, I don't think people would think that O3 will be such a significant leap after just a few months, and they are already training O4. So yeah, I think like having been in crypto long enough, a common theme I see is that it's basically impossible for us to project, exponential growth or improvements. For example, there's like no way in middle 2023 could have imagined how Solana's fee has, grown exponentially, like, at least like 20x, if not like 100x. And I think, something similar is happening to the pace of AI development. So yeah, I think no one is ready, but it's quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you said your co-founder called the Solana move.
Yeah,
Maybe he
my
knows where
like,
AI is
yeah,
going.
I think my co-founder spotted like Solana quite early on, and yeah, like Solana is one of the interesting, blockchains. Putting it mildly.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
the pace of innovation being
yeah,
exponential, like you said, and it's almost like impossible to project the future in that
yeah,
regard.
yeah.
How does BitTensor specifically stay up to date with this pace of innovation? How does it stay on the cutting edge?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I think there are two parts. There are the technical side, where I think it's OTF's job to make sure we try our best to find a game theory optimal incentive mechanism, like with dTAO, what's the right pace of transition, how permissionless should launching something be. I think that's down to OTF to figure out. But I think the most important mode of Bittensor is, I think, the community, because it's out, after all, it's an incentive mechanism, and it's also a crypto network. And you can in crypto you can quite easily fork things. What you cannot fork is the team, which is OTF, and also the community behind it, because with like the I think the biggest difference between crypto and a traditional company is that for a traditional company, basically you can only leverage the intelligence, the effort, the enthusiasm of your own staff. But for crypto, it's truly a global movement. Like for example, in Bittensor, maybe there will be someone in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Korea, like spreading the gospel to their friends that are very interested in AI or even work in AI, and maybe every day, well, certainly every day, there are community members bringing in the contributors that can be building the next exciting subnet into the ecosystem. And I think for Bittensor, it's very important to for the community to feel engaged and respected. And I think as long as technology-wise, Bittensor keep evolving, and the community don't get like very let down for some reason, which so far OTF hasn't disappointed everyone. I think that's the biggest moat of Bittensor, and that's how Bittensor stays plays an important role in crypto AI.
So the biggest pro to BitTensor is the community behind it, is the teams that are
It's
building
it's
on
basically
it,
all the
involved with it.
teams that are building, because ultimately Bittensor is a platform, right? And for for a platform, I think people on the platform is the most important. I think there are a lot of highly accomplished people that are either building subnets or mining subnets, which are both providing essential service to this network. And if they just think, oh, they're fed up with this, they feel their concerns are not listened to, or their demands are not listened to, then I think I've seen many things turn very quickly. So yeah, I think this is something that everyone has to be mindful. But yeah, I think so far I'm not seeing any like worrying signs. So I'm thankful.
And then I guess to flip that, what would you say is the biggest risk that BitTensor faces in the future or currently?
So that's interesting. I think I think something that Bethesda needs to get right is the transition to detail, right? Because there are a lot of changes happening. It's like Bethesda is a very novel network. We're basically trying to add programmability to Bitcoin tokenomics, focused on accelerating AI. And on this very new uh, network, we are trying to again revamp the tokenomics. And I think so far there a lot of upcoming changes are still not fully confirmed yet. Sometimes there may be changes that are proposed in public discussions, etc. And if detail is not handled properly, or if the communication is not done right, and for example, a lot of community members they lose money because they don't truly understand what's happening, and they swap to detail when slippage is very high, then like bad things can happen. So that's also what we're trying to help avoid with some of our upcoming products. Yeah, we're also building a DeFi app, in the form of a Bittensor subnet, that will support both the trading of dTAO as well as the trading of EVM based tokens. And we'll try our best to help improve the communication, provide explanations, TLDRs for people joining the community, and we hope we can play a role in that.
You said a couple interesting things there. You got coming projects that are in DeFi, and you're going
Yep.
to enable trading of these subnet tokens. I assumed it would be like a liquid staked subnet token to start. Is that going to be in subnet form? Is that going to be in just a app outside? What's coming?
So we named it Backprop Finance. It's quite funny. I registered a Twitter account for a Backprop, and then within like a day, 50 people followed. I don't even know how they found it, but more, we will announce more on that soon. But Backprop Finance is basically, I'd say, the DeFi app for Bittensor that is also community owned because it will be its own subnet. So the idea is that with Bittensor EVM, we think finally we can grow liquidity native to Bittensor. It's a lot better for an ecosystem when its ecosystem token has thick liquidity that people can use like trade on a decentralized way in its own ecosystem. And this is one of the things that Backprop Finance can help with. So basically, Backprop Finance will be the one DeFi app for Bittensor. If you want to trade dTAO, you can use Backprop. If you want to trade whatever EVM token, including TAO, you can use Backprop. And if you want to earn using by providing liquidity, then you can be earning our subnet token on Backprop as well. So yeah, I think quite an interesting product to come.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is it gonna require like wallet permissions, or is it just gonna be just transactions that you sign like any other exchange?
It will be quite on the user perspective. It depends on whether you're trading detail or whether you are trading on the EVM side. But I don't expect things. I think things would be quite simplified and abstracted versus using Bitensor CLI, or or it will be like on the EVM side. It will be quite similar to just using other DeFi applications. You can use your EVM wallet, MetaMask or Ravi. So yeah, I think onboarding, like user onboarding, will not be hard, even for people that are new to Bitensor.
Yeah, and everybody wants to trade. Everybody's a degen at heart, so
Yep,
this is still crypto, but
yep.
that's interesting. What is the long-term vision at Tensorplex if you're building products like this?
So we think what we want to do is do whatever we can using what we've learned from crypto to accelerate decentralized AI. I think one of the scarier things that I'm glad it's probably not going to happen is if a few companies are the only companies that are like allowed to develop AI, and all the technology is concentrated in their hands. I mean, thankfully, with Trump having quite different way of looking at AI compared to the previous U.S. administration, this is less likely to happen. But we just believe that AI is a very like concentrating technology, while AI crypto is a very liberating technology, and we hope that with the technologies we build, we can move AI faster, allow open source developers to be able to compete with the closed sourced AI companies, and for a broader group of people to be able to contribute to AI, even the less technical people. So, for example, with Dojo, we are distributing like a few $100,000 worth of TAO to the contributors that are providing human feedback, which I think are opportunities that that will be very good if we can scale it and have more people be able to earn and contribute to AI at the same time. So yeah, we just want to go on this path. We haven't really determined 3 years from now, 5 years from now, what specific product that we want to build, because things can change very quickly. But what we know is that we have the crypto knowledge. We have a team of very smart engineers, and we have a good sense of where AI is going. So we're trying our best to use what we've learned to build things.
And then building these things
Mhm.
for accelerating AI, is the infrastructure layer more important, or is the application layer more important? That front door that everyone complains that BitTensor doesn't have.
I think ultimately applications are more important. But I think right now, like first of all, for applications to be able to build Bittensor, you need solid infrastructure. So I understand, why a lot of times there isn't the patience, but if you want to build truly decentralized stuff, then it does take a bit longer. So, for example, if people build like an app on Bittensor, but the underlying service are all centralized AI service, then it kind of defeats, the purpose. So, and also if we want the infrastructure subnets, like the inference subnets, right, the GPU subnets, to be able to compete with centralized providers, then we need to make sure we can have like perfect uptime, be reliable, have the right legal setup to serve the customers in the future. So I would just say applications are ultimately more important, because all the infra, is like people invest in infra because they think the infra can be turned into something that future consumer wants. But it just takes time for the infra to be built out such that future applications can be developed on a stable foundation.
And you've been in Bittensor for a while now, and you've participated on all levels. How have you seen the infrastructure layer improve, and how much longer do you think until you start seeing those real applications being built on this infrastructure layer?
So I think on a broad level, like things have gone very far, right? Like you you have multiple competitive inference and GPU subnets, trying to outcompete each other, providing GPUs at very competitive pricing versus centralized providers. We're even like seeing application subnets starting to come out and um, be demonstrating its usefulness, right? Like such as with the DP subnet. So I think things have gone pretty far. I think just for for things to take off further, it is about having validators and subnet builders to be even more properly incentivized to spread their message. And I think dTAO is probably the right direction to go. Despite a lot of implementation details, I think we're still waiting for final confirmation. But the power of dTAO is that for all the subnet builders, instead of trying to lobby existing validators, their job is to lobby the entire Bittensor community, because you want TAO holders to be betting on the success of your subnet. And I think once that happens, and they want once they want people to be holding their detail by generating value out of the subnet, then I think with the incentives, I think the subnet builders that have good enough technology will be aggressively pursuing the commercialization path, which I would say is not really the biggest focus yet for the network participants, because of the design of the incentive mechanism.
So you think the second detail turns on, everyone
Yep.
flips to how do we
I think people
monetize?
will be a lot more louder. Of course, it may not be instant, because the entire transition is a gradual process. It will take quite some time until all the TAO emissions go to dTAO instead of go to the vanilla like TAO stakers. But I think show me the incentive and I probably can predict the outcome. So I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think that's very fair. That's very
Yep.
fair. A lot of people are probably in the same camp there in
Yep.
terms of what's going to happen. So, since you have been in Bittensor
Mhm.
since 2023,
Yep.
reflecting back on your time in the ecosystem,
Yep.
what stands out to you the most about your whole journey within Bittensor? Maybe something you
Hmm.
noticed, something you guys did, a change.
I think um, I think what stands out the most is how incentives truly work. I think it shouldn't have surprised me, but when we designed Dojo, um, one of my fears is that, oh, what if people, like, our expectation, we're built Dojo is built in a way that we expect people to be forming teams to mine. Basically, if I'm a miner, I really want to, make money off Dojo. I will need to, gather a team of people to be mining, and such that I can be competitive. So when we're building Dojo, one of my concerns is, hey, what if we don't get enough attention, we don't have enough miners wanting to mine, so maybe our emissions go to waste because each miner, maybe they just click, they just mine themselves, right, instead of institutionalizing the whole thing. But what we've seen is that within like 2 weeks of it launching, people already distributing their keys to a group of people to mine together. So we've been like generating like millions of data points already since we launched around 2 months ago, and this is what showed how incentives truly work. So the reason why I have this conviction in Bittensor, and I think things are going to be very good with dTAO pushing everyone to the commercialization path, is that incentives simply work. Like even if we don't get very aggressive talking about Dojo, talk about opportunities, because we want to scale our infrastructure first. People will just go to Discord and try to find ways to earn TAO. When they see a new subnet, they will put in the effort to learn and contribute to it. And this is not even something that you need to put a lot of effort to achieve. Like if you run a company, like if I run a company, and I need to hire people to provide human feedback, then I need to find a way to motivate people properly, maybe give them a lot of prep talk. But when you have the incentives here saying, hey, as long as you finish the task, you make money, people, they all rush into to contribute. So yeah, I think seeing this firsthand as a subnet builder, I think convinced me that yeah, the incentive design simply works.
And as the CEO of Tensorplex, co-founder of Tensorplex, I got one last question for you. What advice do you have for teams to be successful in the Bittensor ecosystem?
So I think it depends on which stage they're in, right? In learning about Bittensor, or in AI or crypto. But I think first and foremost, it's to really keep their fingers on the pulse of AI development, because things are moving so quickly. A lot of the developments may either render whatever you've been working towards useless, or they can dramatically improve the quality of your product. For example, some of the new research that are published, for example, by DeepSeek, like it actually inspires us when it comes to thinking about the next iteration of Dojo. And I think it's simply like impossible if someone wants to build something AI related on Bittensor or anywhere else, if they don't spend a lot of time just grinding and making sure they know what's the latest achievements in the AI field. And then second, I think it's to think about the end user. So as you said just now, a lot of critics will say, oh, Bittensor is too focused on the B2B angles, too focused on the infrastructure angle, and not focused on the end users. But I think this is just part of building, like where again, as a network, we want the infra to be good enough. We want to make sure the foundation is well built. The subnet incentive design mechanism is well designed. It's not gameable before we push things further. But ultimately, you want to build things that people use. You don't want to build technology where you get a lot of you get miners to make money, and then you gather these data, you provide this service, but ultimately no one uses it. This is why you may be rewarded with TAO temporarily. I think thinking about how to ultimately get users using whatever service you're building, I think is very important. Not just important for themselves, as they want their dTAO to be a sustainably a well-performing token, but also for the health of the network. And I think most importantly, people should just keep building and keep trying things, because like even for us, our plans have changed quite a bit since we started the company. I think you always need to like adapt to changes and just keep building. Like Dojo is not like building a human feedback subnet is not our original idea, right? And building a dTAO tau EVM product is not our original idea. But we've seen changes. We discussed what are the needs of the ecosystem, what are the interesting problems we can tackle using our own Bittensor subnet, and that's how we came up with our ideas. I think people just need to keep trying, keep building, and don't get stuck with certain ideas if things are not going your way.
CK, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much for your time.